Welcome to the Birdhouse podcast, where we talk about how to build a business, how to become a better version of ourselves, while we strive to fly up to the higher skies. My name is Alexander Guller, the CEO of the Birdhouse Agency, and I'm your host for this podcast. Welcome to the Birdhouse. Welcome to the Birdhouse podcast. My name is Alexander Guller, the CEO of the Birdhouse Agency, and today with me I have Wynne. So, Stephen, you have been a guest on my podcast a few times by now, which I enjoy. Yep. I hope you also have enjoyed the few times we have spent together. And as always, I want to talk a little about our wins and losses and lessons through the past week, and after that I want to see where the talk goes and see what happens.
Do that. So I guess I'll start off with my win.
Yeah.
So last week had a pretty good call over the phone that will with client that will lead to more business down the road. It was I thought it was only gonna be about a 30-minute conversation and turn into a good hour conversation with the person that will turn into more branding conversation, more products down the line. So I think that would be my biggest win of just having a really good, successful sales call.
Sounds good. And what's your biggest loss been?
Biggest loss was probably not hitting my goal this week of the TikToks. I only got 2 out this week. I was aiming for 4. I only got 2. 1 just got busy, and 2, I'm just not a person who's naturally like, hey, I'm going to pull out my phone and film TikTok. So I just got to get used to doing that, and because I really want to start growing that and then pull those followers to other platforms.
Yeah, sure. Getting more lead gen. Yeah. Getting more clients and getting more famous, so to speak.
Yeah. Just building your own brand.
Yeah, exactly. So, and what has your biggest lesson been?
Biggest lesson was make sure to double check your invites that they have, how you're going to contact them. Because I actually had another sales call earlier in the week last week, and person didn't show up because they didn't know where to go. Because I thought because I have my Zoom connected with my Calendly, and thought the Zoom link would be sent out with the invite. It was not. And so the person just is not good with email and things like that. So they weren't really prepared for the meeting. And so we completely missed the meeting and really haven't heard much back from them since. So.
Oh, too bad. Yeah. So like no responses at all, or?
So afterwards, yeah, not really any response. So I'm just assuming that I dropped the ball there and missed out on a client, which that's how it goes.
That's how we learn. So yeah, big lesson. Like,
big lesson there.
It's not fun to lose a client by
No.
that, and at least not by that. You talked about Calendly and Zoom, which I actually want to explain to the listeners. Well, what those platforms are, those programs are. So Zoom is just like Discord, where you can talk with other people, video chat with other people. And Calendly is a calendar software, but the great thing about Calendly is you can send out a link to a client, which then they can book a schedule a meeting, which if you have connected your own calendar with Calendly, it can like make sure that
Auto
you put it
block
into
out.
free times, so the client can choose whenever you are free and book that spot. So great software, software.
It is fantastic. Yeah, so within the software, you can put like 30-minute block out before and after in case it goes long or you need time to prepare, or if you're driving from one client to another, that kind of thing, if it's not a Zoom thing.
Yeah,
And so
I also think you can like make sure that the meeting has to be in like over
certain
in 5 days, in about 5 days or something like that.
Yeah, you can say, I want it within the next 2 weeks. I want it within the next week. It can be with the
Yeah.
next month. And then when the person clicks on the link, it sends them to a personalized branded page that has a calendar
Mm.
on it that they go, okay, I want to go meet on Thursday at 2 p.m. And you're like, if that's available, great.
Yeah, and also you can make out a questionnaire for the client to fill out before you go in. So just some general questions, maybe like, what should we address you with, and well,
Hmm.
what is your goal for this meeting, and so on. So you can actually like find out a lot of things by just sending the Calendly thing link if you have probably set it up. So great software, guys. I would really recommend using that. So yeah.
Absolutely. So what's your biggest win-loss and lesson?
So first of all, I want to start by my. They are all three connected in some way. So
Sweet.
so the biggest loss was I was hoping for a girl. I was going drinking with and at Friday, which turned out she was not in a place in her life where she wanted to do it. To do it like meet up with me again, which I was kind of sad about. But the great thing about that was she came with a lot of objections, and as a salesperson and a marketer, it's quite good to get more experience on getting overcoming objectives.
Mhm.
Not objectives, but objections. That's I want to say that. So the biggest win was I actually tried to overcome those objections, and like what I did, I saw her text and I split it up into what objections were included in that text, and after that I
Mhm.
just overcame and tried to overcome each objection after that, and after the for each of her objections, and put them together in one in multiple text and send it to her in which order I thought was the most appropriate. And like
Yeah.
she sent about 200 words, and I think I sent about 500. But now I had done all the work, so I was not going to not use all of the work. So so
Yeah.
yeah, I think the biggest win for me, which is also the lesson, is I realized that a lot about sales and marketing generalizes. Like you can use it with girls, you can use it in sales, you can use it everywhere, and you can practice the same skill in a lot of places. So,
Mhm.
oh, I was talking about overcoming objections, and like a client may have objections, but a girl also might have objections, and the way you solve those problems, those objections can be a lot of the same. Like you have to acknowledge the objection, and after that explain why that shouldn't be a problem, and well, what's the solution to that problem. Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I think that was the lesson was you can. There's always something you can learn for each experience, and the win was definitely figuring out that I think I did a pretty good job of overcoming the objections. But like she didn't, after that she messaged me that it didn't work, but I still think I did a good job. But it's still her.
Yeah.
So
And there's just some people that just don't want sales in general, don't
yeah,
want to be
exactly,
sold.
exactly. So
Because anytime you go anywhere, you're selling yourself.
yeah,
Anytime you go into a sales call, anytime you're going to the bar, anytime that you're sending messages out on a dating app, you're selling who you are to your friends, to the girl, to the business.
yeah, and also. Um, yeah, you definitely you sell yourself, but also each client you ever come across is a person.
Mhm.
And the great thing about that is whenever you interact with a person, you learn more about persons in general. So that way you can also learn more about trying to sell and overcoming objections and so on. So yeah, there's always a lesson in everything, and sometimes you have to flip it over to see what the lesson was. And
Yep.
actually, the only reason why I came to conclusion that I should try to do it like that was because I had seen some of Jason Capital's video where one of his video he does what he calls copyboarding, which is basically the same thing, but you first you pitch an idea, then you get the objections from potential clients. Don't think it out yourselves, but because you never know what the clients know. Don't do that mistake. Always just ask. Just take your 10 best clients and just ask. And after that, you kind of organize them and overcome them and send them out on a landing page and so on. And the thing was, right now I got all the objections in one text, so I could do the rest of it. I didn't have to pitch the idea. Like the idea was just, hey, would you want to take a walk sometime? But but a lot of objections. So yeah,
it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah, definitely. But it's a good learning experience. So always improving, always reaching for the highest skies, as the Birdhouse podcast.
And at the same thing is you like with representing yourself and representing company, have you ever had a say support call or something where they weren't very helpful and you just wanted to leave the whole company for one person's job? So like a bad waiter, a bad customer rep. So for me, I have Verizon on the phone. When you call them, you're going to get one of thousands of representatives. And if one of them is not helpful, a lot of people will just leave the company.
Oh yeah.
Like they'll go go to AT&T, go to whoever.
Yeah, you have to be very careful about who's your front figure, because the front figure is the person that everyone refers to that business with, like associates that business with. And if you don't do a good job as the front figure, the company is lost, like straight up.
Yeah.
Because if people don't trust you, you can't sell shit.
Yep, and with that, you have to be careful. So, do you know the different tiers within, say, a customer representative or support? There's usually tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3.
Sure.
Usually,
elaborate, yeah.
So I'm going to use just IT because that's where I was working in personally. So tier 1 is the person who's initially going to pick up the phone and see if they can solve it. They're usually the least skilled out of anyone in the company. So they're the person that's going to be like, oh, hey, there's an icon on my desktop that's not working. Can you help me fix it? Or Google Chrome's not opening. Why is that? They're usually going to be the ones that'll first hop on. But out of anyone, you want to make sure your level 1s are trained in how to deal with a customer because they're not going to have a huge skill base. So if they can be a person that can talk and that kind of thing, they're going to excel in that position and then eventually go to tier 2, tier 3, because they're going to start learning what issues are. But you have to be careful because that's your first line of contact. Because I've met so many IT people that have no social skills whatsoever. Like a lot of computer people have the stereotype of being introverted, being socially awkward, which is all true. But if you can train somebody on how that first 5 minutes of the call goes, then how to deal with an angry customer, how to do all of that, then your sales and likelihood of somebody is going to dramatically increase. Because even if that first impression is good and after that's okay to not great, if that first impression is great, then and they eventually get it resolved, then they'll be a happy customer in longer term.
True, but and also you talk about the first 5 minutes. That's also because that's the first impression, and if the customer gets a bad impression of you, the customer gets a bad impression of the whole company. So you have to be, as you said, you have to be quite careful about making sure that the tier 1, to use your terminology, is quite good at taking care of the customer. Making sure that the customer feels heard and so on. So yeah, definitely great point.
Yeah.
So and I also think It's always fun because dating and marketing has so much in common because you also have to has to make a good impression. Uh, Also, like, I can't remember what the exact terminology is, but there's a psychology fact that whatever you, the first thing you see a person do is what you think defines them or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you are really fun at one party, but the next nine you are really not funny, like really over in the corner and looking down, just not feeling
Hmm.
well, they still remember you as a fun guy because that's the first impression they got from you. So that must be the most
Yeah.
real.
So yeah, I got actually one funny story of my own, and then another
Sure.
funny story from actually Jason Capital as well. Um, so funny story of my own. I do a lot of ministry in my area. I am a
You do a lot
religious
of what?
ministry. So I'm a religious person. So I
Ah,
do
ministry.
help out with camps. I serve at the church, that kind of thing. And so I was assistant director one time at a camp that my brother was running, and I was in charge of the setup, the tear down. And all of that. So I'd make sure, like for lunch, all the lunch tables were ready, all the food was ready, all of that. And then as soon as like kids and leaders came in, I would take a step back and let them do their job. And and then I would watch and see if there was like anything that needed to be cleaned up, and making sure everything was going smooth and all of that. So I was just in that general like operations mode.
Mm.
Some of the leaders who went to my church and school at first thought I was the most intimidating guy out there because you just see I'm a pretty big shoulder. You just see somebody kind of crossed arms, like
Mm.
I was leaning against a stage just watching. I
Yeah.
was happy because everything was going smooth. A bunch of kids would come up with me and I'd interact with them and that kind of thing because I've been there. I helped out with the program for a good probably 8, 10 years.
Mm.
Um, and but like when they saw me, I was in my like observing mode, making sure everything was going okay. And so they thought that I was not a friendly person. And then about, I don't know, a week or two later, they like realized I was a really like fun guy, but anytime they saw me, I was always in like operations mode.
Yeah. Things have to go smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they came and told me that like 2 months after, and I just started dying laughing.
Well, the thing is also like you're a big guy, like you're wide
Yeah.
shoulder, and like if you want to be intimidating, you can easily be it. And
Oh, absolutely. Have I
and
used that to my advantage when I needed to?
yeah, oh yeah, definitely,
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, also back when I was a bit more partying, I'm also a big guy, so like um, I went to a party once where one of my friends, which I don't talk to that much anymore, but he invited me over to welcome, and one of the other guests that came be- because he knows that that guy was like a bad guy and he was just going to
Mhm.
fuck shit up. So he just wanted me to go with him and say, "Hey, don't mess it up." And all the way I was
Mhm.
like, "Dude, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. I know that. I know that. You're not going to fight. I just want you to be there. You're intimidating." And was like, "Sure, I don't want to fight, but I went and
Yeah.
just hello."
So I guess I have more stories on this. I heard I played some football, American football, not soccer, whatever. Well, I did play soccer for 1 year, but was not very good at it.
Hmm?
I was the fastest person on the field,
Hmm.
but my footwork was not great.
Ah.
Um, so there, I had this lesson that I got taught that I guess I've lived by. I'm not a person who likes to cuss much, but when I do cuss, people listen instantly, or when I do raise my voice, because like yes, I'm generally loud, but I'm a very like calm person in any situation. So anytime that my voice has been like in any way authoritative,
Hmm?
people are like, I gotta listen immediately.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody say they had two coaches growing up. one this huge, like 6'4", 6'5" black guy who would cuss and yell all the time. And the players just got desensitized to it
Yeah,
because that's personality this whole time.
yeah,
And then
that's the norm.
he had a 5'4" coach who was he was a little like, yes, he was loud and authoritative, but like he was just a lot quieter. And anytime that coach would raise his voice and or cuss, the guys on the team would just listen to him because there's that expectation of like, okay, what is going on? There's a
Yeah,
change in what he does. And so with that, you in sales in life, you just have to be able to balance like, okay, what do you want your base personality to be? Because anytime you change that up for the good or for the bad, people are going to notice.
mm. Exactly. And just a comment on that is about choosing what personality you want to become. What I always talk about is you can control your feelings, like you get them. Well, you can learn to control them more, but you got feelings, and they control you more than you control them. And the thing is, yes, you got feelings, and they can kind of control you, but they don't control your behavior.
No.
Like yeah,
Uh,
you might be angry, but you don't have to shout. You don't have to
mhm.
punch people. You can still be angry and don't punch people. Like that's a
Yeah.
choice. The behavior is a choice.
Mhm.
Um,
In So I played basketball in sports, and people said I had so we use like the amount of like string for like say a firework going off. So they go, okay, how much fuse do you have? So when you light a firework, if it
mm,
has a short fuse, it takes like a second to go off. So like those little like firecrackers that you would throw in the air or whatever, you try to get to land like explode in the air.
yeah, yeah.
People would always get mad at me because they're like, "That's gonna explode in your hand," and I'm like, "I don't care."
Well, that's the
But
fun part.
in sports, I was known for having one of the longest fuses because of how I reacted. 95, I've heard this quote, 95% of like who you are and the life around you is how you react.
Yeah.
There's 5% of stuff that happens.
Mm,
And so I guess here's just a fun story of the probably the most mad I've ever gotten um, publicly. So we had to create something that was called a diorama in seventh grade English. It was this like
seventh grade.
shoebox,
Okay.
shoebox like scene. And so most people like did little clay characters, built a little scene from a book that they read or whatever. I did the Hunchback of Notre Dame. My parents made me, I worked 10 hours on this because my parents made me redo it 3 times because they did not like it, which I was kind of pissed at already. But in the end, on the last time, I was like, okay, I'm just going to do what I'm really good at, which was woodworking. So I built this like elaborate bell tower. I hardened some clay for the bell, engraved on it, built a little, built two, oh, what are those? The little, what the things on sides of buildings. They're usually like griffins or
Mm,
I forget what they're called, but like the stone statues on the outside of the building. And then I built like the little hunchback,
gargoyles.
like gargoyles. Yep. So I built all of that. It took me about 3.5 hours to build it. The next day I went into class. I made sure my project was going to be safe. And somehow there's an idiot in my class who knocked it over. And I had the loudest, at this time I was at a really small school. We had about 150 people from our kindergarten to graduation. And so we had about 14 people in my class, but we were also the loudest class. You could hear a pin drop in that room because people saw who I like where my face went. I went from like laughing to like I'm gonna kill this guy.
Oh shit.
Like like the teachers were scared, the students were scared. Like I looked at him, looked what happened, and walked out the door. Because if I didn't walk out the door, he was going to the hospital.
Oh my god.
Like I
Oh.
was pissed. And
you're going to destroy that guy, man.
oh, 100%. Like I literally walked out and walked into the gym and started shooting basketballs. No teacher questioned, like no teacher went up to me for about 30 minutes. Not the principal, not any of the guy teachers. My sister saw me through a little like window in one of the doors, and the teacher that was in my class came to my sister and was like, "Hey, will you go talk with Steven? We're all like don't want to." And she was like, "No."
No, fuck no.
No. Like to the point where even like the seniors and all of them who were like gathered around the vending machine area that was like a two there, they just split. Like they were like, we're not messing with this guy. It took me about an hour to go back into the room because I mean I could not look that guy in the face.
Yeah. What? I think everybody shouted that you went out of the classroom. So yeah.
Oh, it would have been a very different story if I stayed in the classroom. But the point of the story is like I had that personality change and no one wanted to be around me because they knew what my base personality was, and seeing me in that state, like some people were scared, some people were laughing because they've never seen me that mad. But they all knew like this guy's serious.
Yeah. And also you chose not to go for the violence. Like
Yeah.
that was definitely a choice. That was
Yeah.
not what I don't think that was what you wanted. I don't think you thought, okay, I'm fucking angry and now I'm going to screw
That's what
shit
I
house.
wanted. That's not what I needed.
Yeah.
I had enough self-control in that moment to go, I do not want a criminal charge on my record. I do not want to get expelled from the school. I have a really good reputation.
Yeah.
It only takes one thing to ruin a reputation.
Yeah. Good you didn't do it.
Oh, it would have been hilarious because I don't know what the aftermath would have been, but like everyone in the school trusted me, so I was like, I probably could have gotten away with it, just gotten talked with the principal and whatnot, but
But like it also depends on like the other kid, did he do it intentionally or was it like by mistake?
oh, it was an accident.
Oh,
It was definitely like he was clearing some others to put his down, but he like cleared mine and then like as he turned around his backpack caught mine and ripped it off. Like
oh,
he completely moved mine from a safe place to a not so safe place and then turned around and just everything fell and broke.
oh. Well,
And
you also like have to take that into consideration because
yeah, and that's
um
why I walked out.
yeah, because if that was intentional, like you need to make sure that he don't do that again. But you don't have
Oh,
to like punch him down. But
even if it was intentional how I was acting, he would never do it again.
yeah, he was going to make sure that he didn't do it again.
Oh yeah. Because at this point, so during sixth, seventh, eighth grade, that's when everyone's growing.
Oh
Because
yeah.
this is like when everyone's hitting their growth spurt. I've been the same height since sixth grade.
Mm,
I was a 6 foot six 12-year old.
nice.
And then I stopped growing.
Really?
And so I was like like some of the closest people in my grade was like here to me at one point. Like I hit my growth spurt early, and he was like I don't know 5'6" at that time. He eventually grew to near my height, but like I was like huge compared to him. But
That's so
anyway,
fun. That's so funny, mate. But
uh,
actually, like, how high are you? Like, how?
I'm
What
six
was your
foot.
height?
I'm
Sorry,
6 foot now.
6 foot. Okay.
I was 6 foot then. I'm 6 foot now, and I'll probably be 6 foot in 10 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just going to figure out what my. All right.
So I'm about a little shorter than 2 meters.
Yeah. I'm 5 feet and almost 11 inches.
So we're pretty much same height.
Sure. I'm 180 in centimeters.
Yeah, so I'm probably like 185, something like that.
Probably. What is the average height in America?
5, 5'9", 5'10" for guys, and then like 5'5", 5'6" for girls. So you can convert that to meters and say it.
Hmm. Average height in USA is 5 feet and 9 inches, so about
Yeah.
175, I think. 75, and what's Denmark? In Denmark it's 180, so 5'11". Oh, I'm actually like average height. Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's 1.75 meters for the average
Yeah.
height. Yeah, so I guess we're both bigger than normal than people.
Pump it.
5'4".
We're just two bodyguards walking around. What you want, mate?
Um, in at the smaller school, I had the nickname of the Jolly Green Giant because I always wore a gray or a green hoodie. We had to wear uniforms at our school at this time. So we always had to wear khaki or navy slacks or shorts with I think it was a blue, burgundy, green, white, and there's like one other color that we could wear for polos. Um, and
Hmm.
so the guys had to wear polos, girls could wear jumpers or skirts or whatever. But we also had like hoodies, and we had to wear our school's hoodie. And so I chose the green one and so I always wore green. And since I was larger than everyone in my grade, I just got nicknamed as the Green Giant. And then because I'm a happy guy, I got named the Jolly Green Giant.
That's such a catchy nickname, though.
Yeah, I thought about it's like with everyone in their pronouns and their bios. I've thought about putting fee fi fo fum.
Do that. That's such a fun fact. You should definitely like do that. Talk about that. And
Oh,
have you seen Kick Buttowski, like the cartoon?
yeah,
You remember the Viking guy Gunther?
yeah.
Yeah, I got that nickname, and I never got the story behind behind that nickname, but my suspicion is I was that guy, a little
Mhm.
chubby, kind of Viking-ish, because I was
Yeah,
always working about shorts and like I did all the stuff, and I was fucking fuck you. so
yeah.
so yeah.
I was also known for always wearing shorts in winter. It could
same
be
same.
it could be negative, like for you, -degrees Celsius, I don't know, -10, -20, and I would still be wearing shorts outside.
Mm.
And eventually we had a rule at one of my basketball teams, like if the coach during winter saw you in shorts, like walking in or out of the practice, everyone had to run a suicide or run lines,
Oh.
I guess as it's called now. And so everyone looked at me and go, Steven, do you have a pair of pants? Because I didn't know if I had a pair of sweatpants. Like I I I have two pairs now,
Yeah.
and both of them were from that basketball. I have two pairs of sweats, two pairs of jeans, and two pairs of dress pants.
Wow. Okay. I have two jeans and I have some old work jeans, but that's all I have. Otherwise, I only
Yeah,
have shorts.
yeah. And so people always get on to me. They're like, "Stephen, you need to wear professional pants." And I'm like, "Why?"
What the hell?
I'm
That's not
like,
fun.
they know how I think. Like,
Yeah.
I can be comfortable. I'm comfortable enough with my knowledge to walk into a meeting with an executive and nice shorts and a t-shirt because it's like, okay, I'm here for my knowledge. I'm not here to completely impress you on how I dress.
Yeah. Yeah. And also like sometimes an impression is also, oh, that guy goes in what clothes he likes. Like he's
Hmm.
really authentic and not trying to just be a show off.
Yeah, because I don't want to wear a suit when I go there because that's just not me. I've like, yes, I like dressing up for dances or that kind of thing, just because it's nice to do that. But like at the same time, like I'm in everyday life, I'm not going to be wearing a button-down shirt and slacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I also have you just kind of have to dominate your clothing. Like,
Mhm.
be seen as you are confident in what clothes you choose. Like, you're not
Yeah.
not being scaring everybody off and saying loud stuff, but just like look like you enjoy what clothes you have in it.
But make sure it fits your body well.
Oh yeah,
Don't be wearing super tight. Don't be wearing Adam Sandler. For a while, okay, fun fact about me. I've been wearing the same clothes since middle school. I mean, I've maybe gotten 10 new shirts and like two new shorts since middle school in my closet.
how many years is that?
What?
How many
That's
years?
so that would have been last about 9 years. I mean,
But okay,
I have not changed my wardrobe in 9 years. Uh, Here in about next year, I'm planning on literally taking my whole closet and throwing it away because I need new clothes. Because for a while, I got known as like the guy who wears Adam Sandler because because mediums didn't fit me well. Larges were too large.
mm,
And so, but I had to wear a large because of my broad shoulders.
mm.
Because mediums they would just squeeze me.
Yeah,
And I just
I
did
know
not
that.
like that. And so I would wear what looked like looser clothes because I used to have a little bit of like a hunch. Now I've straightened up a little bit. Um, but like with the athletic shorts I was wearing, it's just like that picture of Ab Sandler walking down the street with like the drink. That was how I dressed.
It's
And
such a great picture.
I did not give a care that I dressed like that. But I was also known as the professional person who dressed like Adam Sandler because
Yeah,
how I interact with people is very professional. It's like, yeah, even when I'm joking, it's not like I'm a party person, not like I'm this. I'm a pretty serious person.
sure, sure. I completely understand that, and it's so fun. Like what other people think about you sometimes. It's so
Oh,
fun.
it's hilarious. I love hearing it because I'm like with the Gary V, like people can judge me. Yes, I listen to them as in like people that I trust or like, hey, you're doing this, doing that. But like 90% of people that I don't care about, like I like to hear what people think of me. And if eventually if enough people say something, I'm like, okay, I might change that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't carry what a few people say about me as like I'm judging that on myself. So I usually am like, cool, that's funny, whatever, peace.
See ya.
Just let it roll off.
Yeah.
Um, the Gary V, don't judge yourself.
Mm,
Like, make sure whatever decision you made in the moment is the best decision that you could have made because that's the decision you made.
mm.
Don't dwell on that.
Yeah. That's actually a really good phrase. Say that. Please say that again. That quote.
So don't judge yourself. Any decision that you made was the best decision you could have made in the moment with the knowledge that you had.
Yeah.
So
And the
don't,
reason why that is because you took it.
yeah, so any decision you made, it's the decision you took. You can't change that. So don't judge yourself on that decision.
Mm.
And so you can like sometimes you can retroactively go back and change decisions, but guess what? It's a decision that's made, it's written in stone. There's nothing you can do to go back. So why dwell on it?
Mm. Uh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. When we talk about that, I also think about reversible and irreversible decisions. Like a
Mhm.
lot of the things that we might think is irreversible is reversible. Like you can start a business again. You can change your name. You can do a lot of things. You can take a
Mhm.
lot of bad decisions and just oh well, I have to change that. There's quite a
Yeah.
few.
You can
Only
rebrand yourself.
sorry.
It's you can rebrand yourself, you can
Yeah,
rebrand your company.
exactly. And like people that's been to prison can also like leave prison and build a good life. Like
Mhm.
you can change yourself, but sometimes there is irreversible decisions, and those you have to
Yeah.
be quite careful about and really get the preparation done. But
Yeah.
irreversible is like just go ahead, do it. And as I said earlier, there's a lesson in everything, and sometimes you have to take bigger risks for it. And
Yeah.
the bigger the risk, the bigger the lesson. So
Yeah, every choice that you make, if you go back and look at it, that's really how you get like a lot of people with depression. You constantly look. This is how I define depression, anxiety in my head. Depression is looking back, anxiety is looking forward.
oh, I like that article.
And
Yeah,
and so whenever you're anxious about the future, you're worried about, oh, what decisions can I make? What if I do this? What if I do this? What if I say the wrong thing to Alex? What if I have a bad sales call? Depression is looking back and saying, oh, I forgot to send the Zoom link. I just missed out on a couple $1,000.
yeah.
What like and dwelling on that and going like deep into that. And so, because I know I've struggled with both, which kind of sucks because anxieties, I want to do everything, depressions, I don't want to do anything. And so, having that mixture, you're in bed and you're like, I want to do something, but I can't because I don't have energy from thinking about the past, but I'm anxious about what I'm going to do. And
There's
so,
such an evil loop.
and so you're just this battle inside of you. And so, but also I have ADHD, which is also a fun mix with that.
Oh,
We joke with my girlfriend. It's called the trifecta because ADHD is the usually going 1,000 miles an hour, but like when they sit down, they cannot do anything. And then if you have depression, while you're sitting down, you have that, and while you're going and hyper fixating on everything, you have the anxiety.
well, it's good to have fun nicknames for it. That makes it way easier, at least.
Yeah. Or I guess the new name for ADHD, people are calling it Dave.
well,
It's
okay.
what is it? It's something like it's making fun of the different things. It's like attention, variability, executive, deficient, attention, variable, executive, something like that. And they nicknamed it Dave so they can go, damn it, Dave.
Damn it, Dave. And for all listeners, just to clarify, we are not psychologists. So
Not at all.
this
This
is
is
not a
just
professional opinion. This is just us having fun.
yeah. Go if you seriously serious moment
Yeah,
outside of laughing. If you do have stuff and go and find professional help, it is serious.
yeah,
But it is good to also have laughs around what is happening to help deal with it. But if you do have issues, please go see a psychologist, go see a doctor, all of that.
yeah. And get some help because it's a lot to have it on your own shoulders, and sometimes the best way to do it is just to ask for help. And
Absolutely.
and there's professionals that have educated themselves to be able to do it quite well. So you might as
Yeah,
well use those expertise they have. So yeah,
absolutely.
if you struggle with some of that, go seek some professional help.
Yep.
And
Which,
making fun of it is just making sure that it's easier to talk about. So
yeah, absolutely. So cool. Okay. I know I don't have too much time. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else we want to. Oh, I guess specific goals for this next week. What do you got?
mm, um, I'm not sure on what specific goal I actually have. So let's make you start.
Yeah. So, specific goal I have. Just trying to look through my schedule of what I have. I guess for me, it's the fraternity I'm in. It's well, one I guess specific goal is I have some family issues that I'm dealing with, so I got to deal with those. So getting, I don't want to deal with those because it sucks. But sitting down, I have a conversation this week, so actually sitting down and going through that seriously. So that's my like main overarching goal because I need to get that figured out in my life so that I can do better in business because it's taking up a lot of my thought
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
And
Or
so,
okay, clearing out your thoughts. Yeah,
yeah, so I really need to deal with that. And I'm not looking forward to it, but it's a goal that I've had of like, I need to sit down with my family certain family member and have a conversation. So getting that done will be awesome. But also the fraternity I'm in, we have homecoming, which is basically a formal, usually related with football. There's usually like a parade, celebration kind of thing. And so trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do for that, because apparently I'm signed up for something that I have no idea what I'm signed up for. Um, Somebody was like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I said, "Sure." And I've not heard, that's been 4 months ago. I have not heard anything since. And I've asked him about it, but he's like, mm. So
Well,
the
good luck.
sorority we're partnered with, I really hope they come to me and go, "Hey, you need to do this." Because I I actually don't even go to the college that my fraternity is in. And so I have no connections to anyone. I literally just have connections within my fraternity. I barely know the sorority that we're partnered with.
Well, that just makes it fun. Um,
So I'm just waiting for a text or call that says, "Hey, you need to be here." I'm like, "Cool."
okay, cool. See you. See you then. Well,
Yeah.
I can't say I have a specific goal, but I have a lot of um, meetings I have to go through this week. That's quite important. And also,
Hmm.
my last boss also has to talk about. I have to talk a bit, and that's not a meeting I'm looking forward to, but it has to be done. So, um,
Absolutely.
so like clearing out a lot of things because a lot of the a lot of the meetings is something that's taking up a lot of my a lot of my
Mhm.
thoughts because I don't know where it's going and I don't know how much effort I should put into those because one of the things I'm going to talk about is I've been volunteer for a long time and I've started what we call the youth network but on Danish and the thing is I'm not sure of my future in it, which I think is quite sad, but also okay, but in some sense. But I'm going to figure that out a little more clearly, at least on Wednesday. So
Yeah.
um, clearing up some of my thoughts, definitely.
Yeah. I guess that's the goal for both of us of
Yeah,
clearing our thought space so we can do more business.
exactly. That's always important. Getting
Yeah.
your thoughts cleared out. So
Yeah.
everybody, oh yeah,
I guess one more question. I'm just curious, what is your native language? Because I think I've asked this before, but
it's
because
Danish.
I know it's not, I know it's Danish.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Because I know it wasn't English.
it's not English. You can probably hear it by the accent. I'm
Yeah.
doing quite. I'm getting better. Since Denmark is a very small country, we only have 5 million people in it.
Hmm.
That's a small country. So and we are the only country that actually speaks Danish. Swedish and Norway is not Norway. Norwegian is quite close. Some professional linguistics just call us three different dialects, but
Hmm.
so yeah, then English is not my native language, but since we are a small country, I have always like all the games I've played online has been on English. Like we're not a big enough country for us to have professional translators into Danish.
Yeah.
That means that my written and reading English is quite good, but my
Hmm.
pronunciation is still a bit lacking. But
Yeah.
that's also the podcast is also helping a lot with that. So I'm glad for that.
Yeah. I know even since we first talked, I think it's back in February or March, like your English has gotten dramatically better
Yeah,
speaking it.
thanks. I'm glad to hear it because I have actually put a lot of effort into it
Hmm.
and trying to improve it. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear
Uh,
that. And also
yeah.
like if you just watch the first episode of the podcast, I got more. I think I've gone way more smooth and fluently. So I think that's quite
Mhm.
good.
Absolutely. I just looked up the population of my state because I was just double checking. But my state, if you include, so Kansas City, there's two Kansas Cities. There's Kansas City, Kansas City, Missouri. If you loop Kansas City, Missouri with our population, So then we're almost as big as Denmark.
Sure.
So Kansas is 3 million, and then the population on the Missouri side is about 1.5 million, I believe, something like that.
Oh, well, I can see we have 5.8 million people from 2020.
Yeah.
So
So
that's not a lot. That's not a lot of people, but
yeah,
so that's what it is.
cool.
So thank you, everyone, for listening to our podcast, and thank you, Stephen. As always, it's been a pleasure, and I
Yep.
will be looking forward to seeing you. Thanks for listening to the Birdhouse Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, follow me on my Instagram @thebirdhouseagency and share it to your friends and family, or rate it on Apple Podcast or Anchor. My name is Alexander Gulager, and I will see you at the next episode.